Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Eons of Battle. Kill Team Nachmund is out, and I want to talk about it. I think it has some great things going for it, and a few negatives too. I love Kill Team 21. It's my favorite game right now, and I really like how much support it's getting from Games Workshop. It dropped with rules for all the factions, we got White Dwarf alternative teams now, and we're getting quarterly doubles boxes. It all started with Octeris, with the Orcs and Krieg, then Chalnath with Sisters and Tau, and now Nachmund with Chaos Space Marines and Eldar Corsairs. And these boxes are great, although not essential in my opinion. The best way to get into Kill Team is to go over to Warhammopedia, look through all the rules, and pick a box or two of your favorite models. What these double boxes are good for is roping in friends. Tabletop wargaming is a social hobby, and these boxes are meant for going halvesies. Splitting the contents of the box down the middle, and that is exactly what I did. I'm keeping the Eldar Corsairs, and Nick is getting the Chaos Space Marines. What I love about Nachmund is the Eldar Corsairs, and the continuation of this trend of getting one reimagining and one brand new thing. We saw it in Chalnath with the Sisters and Tau, and now we're seeing it in Nachmund, and so I hope in the next box, which I'm sure will be called Frederick or something similar, we're going to get another team that already exists but upgraded and updated, and then we're going to get one brand new thing. I really hope this trend continues because that means that we're going to get 4 kind of weird and wacky things a year brought to us by Kill Team. I'm very excited for the Eldar Corsairs. In fact, I actually have an alternate model. This is the Eldar Vizark, and I'm going to be using him as my captain or my lieutenant, the guy in charge of all of my other Eldar Corsairs. And I don't really like the Eldar, and so I think it's a testament to how good of a job they did with it, where they've roped me in, because it's the best of both worlds between the Dark Eldar and the Eldar. You get the coolest parts of the armor, the coolest weapons, all shoved into the same Kill Team. And even though I don't have really any interest in the Eldar, I'm pumped. I am pumped to get some Eldar going. And I think that's the great thing about Kill Team is, in 40K, there's only like 20 some factions, but in Kill Team, it looks like there's going to be every faction for 40K, including Kroot for some reason, and then we're gonna every now and then get a brand new faction. Now, none of these things are completely new, they all exist in the lore, but it's gonna be cool to see them brought to the tabletop with Kill Team. And I can't wait to have my Corsairs all painted up. Once again, it's a close combat Kill Team, and I really enjoy close combat, although it looks like they're gonna have some pretty sick shooting options as well. And I can't wait to get this guy painted up with that lovely sword, and have this guy leading the charge. The Chaos side of the box is actually pretty epic. It's the first time we're seeing Games Workshop tackle an elite force. Kill Team seems to work really well when you have about 10 guys on the battlefield fighting each other, because objectives are so important, and the secondary objectives, a lot of them really focus on getting bodies to the right places, holding onto objectives, grabbing objectives, doing different mission actions, and when you don't have a lot of bodies on the field, it can be a little bit tricky. Really elite teams like Custodes, Chaos Space Marines, regular Space Marines, Primary Space Marines, they have a hard time doing the things they need to do on the tabletop, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing how this new Chaos Space Marine Kill Team does on the battlefield with brand spanking new rules. I bet they're pretty good. I bet they can do the work. And I can't wait to see the rest of the elite teams get updated. But enough about the positives, I want to talk about the negatives of this box, and that would be the terrain. The problem with this terrain is, it's good terrain, but it's 40K terrain. This terrain is the Sector Mechanicus terrain that Games Workshop has been selling for quite a while, and it's been repackaged in this box, and I think it's not the best choice. It works really well for 40K, but I don't see this working great for Kill Team. It has a couple of pieces that work really well, like the thermo pipes and the plasma generators. I think those are wonderful pieces of terrain. We actually have a set of the plasma generators, and we use them in pretty much every game of Kill Team. They make a really good vantage point. But some of the other pieces have me a little bit worried. I think one of the biggest draws for this box is actually the crane, but the crane, in my opinion, is not an amazing piece of Kill Team terrain. I think it'll add some nice flavor to your board, a nice tall crane just sitting right in the middle. It won't provide much cover. You could probably hide 1 or 2 operatives behind it. But sometimes big terrain like this can kind of get in the way, Kill Team, you really gotta kind of snake your arms in there and move your guy around. And sometimes larger terrain pieces can definitely get in the way. I don't think this terrain is nearly as obtuse as the Chalnath terrain, which used some of the classic Games Workshop destroyed Gothic ruins, which is still, once again, good terrain. Games Workshop makes very good terrain at a very steep price point. But I'm a part of tons and tons of Facebook groups and Discords and stuff about Kill Team, and I've seen a lot of people assemble the Chalnath terrain. I haven't seen a lot of people paint it and play with it, because I think it's just not designed for Kill Team. The Octeris terrain absolutely was designed for Kill Team, and it works so well. You've got lots of small, short pieces of terrain that make really, really good cover and light cover and traversable cover, and then you've just got a couple of pieces for vantage points. And I don't know if the Nachmund terrain is really well suited for that, but I do think it can be. I've seen some people do some interesting stuff with this type of terrain online because it is fairly modular. Particularly this piece. This is a kind of a bunker with a landing pad on top, but I've seen people actually assemble this as two halves and then lay the two halves flat and then put the walkways on top of the flat side. And I think I'm gonna be trying to do something similar to kind of get the terrain a little bit shorter, because not every piece of terrain in Kill Team needs to be a vantage point. In fact, I think most of it shouldn't. Vantage points should be a little bit rare and sporadic and asymmetrical, in my opinion, to have the best results, because it can be pretty brutal when, you're up against a team that's all in cover and concealed, and so they think that they're safe, but then you just hop up on some vantage points and all of a sudden it all becomes open season. I definitely think I like this terrain more than the Chalnath terrain, but I do think it is going to require a little bit of work to get the best out of it. And what I hope happens, because Games Workshop has kind of used up the terrain that they have, the terrain sets that they have available for 40K, I hope that while they've been recycling some of the terrain that they already have in their web store, I hope that they've been working on some dedicated Kill Team terrain. And speaking of dedicated Kill Team terrain, I want to show off this piece. This is a perfect example of what I think Kill Team terrain should be. This is an Eons of Battle terrain available at our Patreon. And what's great about this is it is light and traversable, but it is also line of sight blocking because it's short. And so if the two Space Marine operatives are here, they can't see each other, and so they can't draw line of sight and they can't fire at each other, but they could both have engage orders. You don't have to use conceal and be hiding. You can be engaged but still be outside of line of sight. And if this Space Marine decides to move up here, all of a sudden he can draw line of sight. I think that this is a super, super simple piece of terrain, and it doesn't really take advantage of the terrain rules in Kill Team like a lot of Games Workshop's pieces do, but I actually think it works better just to use the basic line of sight rules to make terrain that is interesting and usable, as opposed to having to make every single piece of terrain either have its own unique rules like some of the Octeris terrain, or have everything be a vantage points. Because this isn't a vantage point, but it does give you some really, really good options while you're playing the game. You can go up here and shoot down. You can move over the terrain piece. You can kind of run up to the terrain piece and hide behind it. It's just this piece, this little thing, this little L-shaped barricade offers so much potential in the game of Kill Team, where something like a 3-inch tall bunker is just it's more of a blunt instrument. Where something like this, available at EonsOfBattle Patreon, is just a little bit more perfect. It's a little bit more specific to the game of Kill Team. And so I'm hoping that whatever Games Workshop's got cooking, because I bet they do, especially since they're basically out of terrain, I bet they have something in the works specifically for Kill Team. The Octeris terrain was great, and so I hope we get a little bit more terrain like that. I think also Games Workshop just needs to offer more scatter terrain and incidental terrain in general, because a lot of their pieces are like, this is the servo hauler fortress. Here it is, it's a big lump of plastic for $60. Whereas I would love to see some more kind of simpler pieces, maybe just some barrels and boxes, a couple of smaller plants. Because those are the things, not only are they super effective in Kill Team, because Kill Team is a lot more, every model is an individual, and so it's much more important how they interact with the terrain. But in big games of 40K, it just looks better. You know, instead of having 6 large pieces of terrain, keep the 6 large pieces of terrain, but then you need a whole, 20, 30 pieces of incidental terrain to really liven up the board and make it come to life. And that is what I hope that they're doing. Also, speaking of Nachmund, there was a little bit of a controversy. This crane kit is technically not complete. When this was released individually, it came with one more sprue that came with a little hauler vehicle, but it also came with the 2 antennae that go onto the back of this crane. And they did not include it in this box. Now, I don't think it's that big a deal. 2 little antennas, I don't think make or breaks it. I would much rather have the crane than the sprue that has the 2 antennae. And this box is so completely full to the brim of plastic, they definitely could not have included one more sprue. But it's just kind of an interesting thing to know. It kind of proves what an afterthought this terrain was. That they're like, oh God, what do we have? The box is coming out next weekend, what do we do? Well, we grab the sprues that we already sell in the store and we just throw it in a box. But it was just fun. It was just fun to see a little bit of the controversy because when this box was announced, a lot of people were super, super hyped about the crane because it is a really cool terrain piece. And then it was really, really fun to watch that hype turn into controversy as people were like, it's missing the 2 antennas. What are we ever gonna do? Just cut the top off of a paperclip? Like what are we possibly gonna do? And I know a bunch of people have just sent emails to Games Workshop and I'm sure they're getting ignored because it's just an antenna and it was never meant to be included. Although it was included in the material surrounding the game, the advertising material surrounding the game, because they just used the studio crane to take the photos and the studio crane has the 2 antennae. So if Games Workshop was really on their A game, they would have snapped the antennas right off of their studio model before taking the pictures. But whatever, it's a little antenna. It's still a really cool crane, and I have 2 now. So I'm gonna be able to have dueling cranes on my Nachmund Kill Team board. So overall, even though I'm not super impressed with the terrain, I'm still glad I have it, and I'm still gonna put it together and enjoy it. I'm super duper excited about the actual kill teams in the game. The rules for them look really, really fun and really solid, and I can't wait to get more games of Kill Team in. And if any of you fine folks are looking to pick up Nachmund, you can get it from Valhalla Hobby, which is where I got my box. It's a wonderful game store in Verona, Wisconsin, and they do online sales. You can check them out, linked in the description below. And if you want to support us and check out some of this super cool terrain, you can do so over on our Patreon. We have lots and lots of really cool terrain STLs, perfect for Kill Team and for 40K. We also have 1 extra episode of EOB a week, live hobby hangouts, voting on models I paint live here on YouTube, and more. And if you're not into that, we also have merch, link in the description below. But I'm super excited to get to work on all of this wonderful new plastic. I have some elves to paint. Thanks for watching.